400 million barrels of oil. That's how much the International Energy Agency is releasing from its strategic reserve to alleviate the oil shortage caused by the Strait of Hormuz shutdown. This is the largest strategic reserve release in history, and yet the stock market fell and oil prices stayed high. The Dow closed down more than 200 points today. I want to bring in CBS News MoneyWatch correspondent Kelly O'Grady to explain what's going on here. Kelly, tell us more about this oil release and what does it really mean for the oil supply and oil prices?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, it's the largest in history, 400 million barrels. And for reference, the IEA has about 1.2 billion in their strategic reserve. So it's a significant portion of that overall amount. You would have expected, though, to see oil prices drop on this news, but in fact, they ticked up ever so slightly. And the reason is that this was likely already baked in. If you go back to Monday, we saw these huge swings. It was like a $40 swing in terms of the price of oil. It almost went up to 120, and then it kind of came back around under 90. It's been hovering anywhere between $85 to $90 a barrel the last couple of days. And so when it decreased, partly oil traders were counting on the IEA to release to tap the strategic reserve. So yes, this does help with supply. It injects barrels of oil into the market. But when it comes to the price, this was already factored in. And so also, if you do the math, you think about it, 400 million barrels of oil, it is a lot. I am definitely emphasizing that. But you mentioned the Strait of Hormuz, roughly 15 to 20 million barrels of oil will pass through that on the daily basis. And of course, it hasn't been able to do that because it's dangerous now. And so if you do the math out, that's only about 25 to 26 days of supply that is being disrupted when you look at that 400 million. So when I've been talking to oil analysts, they're saying, we're expecting this conflict to drag on at the moment. And so that's also why you're not seeing those oil prices come down, because they're weighing a significant release, but it's just not going to be enough based on what things are looking like in terms of length and the fact that those tankers are still being attacked.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear your analysis of that, because I think a lot of folks saw oil prices almost immediately go up once the war began, and they would expect prices to come down at an equal rate, and it's just not working out that way.
That's right. And by the way, when you think about gas prices, the oil prices come up and then it flows through the gas prices. I think everyone's been asking, will this strategic reserve release impact gas prices? I would say right now it's going to slow the increase, but you're not going to see it come down just because there's been so much volatility.
Kelly O'Grady, thank you so much.